Welcome to Build Your Foundations, our weekly dive into a topic regarding divorce, mediation, finance, or mental health. This month on Build Your Foundations, we will shift our focus from our Financials of Divorce series and take the month of August to take a mental health pause. If you've been paying any attention to the Olympics or the world news in general, Simone Biles has been in the headlines in the recent weeks because she's dropped out of several events due to mental health reasons. Many people are wondering why she is dropping out at this point in her career as a world-class athlete instead of just pressing through. Naomi Osaka also made headlines a few months ago when she withdrew from the French Open and skipped Wimbledon due to mental health reasons. You may have even seen Michael Phelps in the commercials for Talkspace, a company that provides online therapy while we have been on lockdown during the worldwide COVID pandemic. Mental health struggles are not just for world-class Olympians. They are for us common folks as well. Build Your Foundations is going to take this month to encourage our subscribers and clients to take a moment to pause, assess, and have moments of self-care and kindness to oneself. We believe firmly in the need to attune to our minds, bodies, and hearts in a holistic manner. For those of us who have spent any time working on our past traumas, once you take the brave steps towards opening the door to uncovering, learning, understanding, and healing your past, there's no going back. There is no more shoving the thoughts and emotions back into what an acquaintance called, quote unquote, the hurt locker, the place where all things one does not want to think about gets compartmentalized into. But once you open the door to the hurt locker, there is no going back. And sometimes it doesn't matter if you want to deal or not. Your body lets you know that things need to be dealt with. Let's be honest. Most of us have been conditioned to ignore any pain, any hurt, any signal from our body, letting us know that something isn't right from the moment that we were born. Even if you didn't realize this is what was happening, when you're told to behave, not to cry, not make a fuss, not bring something up which doesn't seem right, be easygoing and low maintenance, from early childhood, we have been told and conditioned that what we are feeling and what our spidey senses tell us that just doesn't seem right should be ignored and let things be as they are. I was listening to the daily podcast about Simone Biles the other day and realized that Simone in recent years has had to open her own hurt locker as she came to the realization that she was sexually abused by Larry Nassar. As soon as she opened the door, turned on the lights to the hurt locker, and spoke the words and gave oxygen to the truth, there was no turning back. As the memory started to fill her mind and heart, as the acknowledgement of the trauma was recognized, her entire life was turned upside down. In the podcast, they said that at the age of 6, Simone Biles just had an innate sense of where the ground was in relations to the air, and she was able to land flips in a manner most people are unable to due to not being able to recognize which way the ground was. In recent days, news has come out that she has not been able to rely on this sense and that she has been having a hard time figuring out which way was up or down. She's actually been working with a trainer to try to figure out the situation. She's placed all her bad memories in her hurt locker, and now all the memories, good and bad, have flooded her mind, and now nothing seems as they were. Nothing seems clear like they once were. My personal journey. I wasn't always this way. I thought I knew. I thought I understood mental health and needing the help of a therapist, that therapy was needed, but only for people who really needed the help because they were way on the deep end and were basically crazy. One day, several years ago, I realized I was on the deep end myself. In a matter of a week, my aunt was hit by a van while walking and landed on her head, leaving her brain dead. And a few days later, the man I was dating at the time, who was going through his own divorce, the man I thought was the love of my life, in the middle of a divorce mediation, decided to stay in his marriage and break up with me. In this week, I felt like my world had fallen apart. The grief I was feeling was deep and strong and seemingly never ending. I'm not one to cry much, but during this time, the tears would not stop. I cried all the time. I cried at my desk at work. I cried at home. I cried myself to sleep. I woke up crying. I'm sharing this moment of my life because I was broken. I felt irretrievably broken. And I talked to a friend of mine who started doing some trauma work. And I asked her for some help and some direction. I realized that I was grieving, but I also realized that I was repeating some patterns in my life. And I had no control over why I made those choices, but knew I would do everything in order to stop the cycle. These two tragedies brought me to a point where I started to see a therapist for the first time in my life at the age of 44. I'm not talking about biblical counseling or a life coach, nor was I meeting with a psychiatrist. My diagnosis was depression because I was working through some traumas which did not require medication, but a psychiatrist could prescribe. There are many who will benefit from the help of a psychiatrist and from medication. For me, when I started my therapy journey, it brought me to a year of meeting with my therapist once a week and going on a deep journey into my past. I never knew I needed this so desperately. I learned so much about myself and the traumas I had endured over the decades and never spent time reflecting and healing from them. In these sessions, I was finally able to recognize and name my traumas and start the healing journey. Part of the healing truly has been giving voice and validation to what I had experienced. Instead of being low maintenance about it, I was able to speak it and affirm that what I experienced was traumatic to me and help me shape me into the person I am today. And by acknowledging the trauma and working through them, I am now able to break some patterns in my life which had not been serving me positively. Though I have not experienced trauma with a capital T, such as sexual abuse, I have faced many traumas with a small t over the years. I truly believe that every one of us has experienced trauma with a small t, and some of us have experienced trauma with a capital T. No matter the trauma, we can only choose to ignore them for so long because trauma finds a way to be acknowledged and healed. As much as our minds guard us from some of the memories, these traumas come out in different ways. Sometimes it comes out in the patterns we repeat. Other times, our traumas want to get our attention and our bodies start to respond with various illnesses, autoimmune diseases being the most common. For my clients who are considering or in the process of going through a divorce, they are in the middle of their own trauma. Part of the reason why I try and connect my clients with therapists as well as a divorce coach are that each they each have a purpose. As we mentioned in our divorce coach series, a divorce coach helps the client in the present and helps them looking forward to the future. They help encourage you and give you the endurance you need during the divorce process. A therapist, on the other hand, may be able to work with you as an individual or with you and your spouse as a couple to help you through some patterns which have not served your marriage or you as an individual well. As mentioned earlier in my story, I was repeating patterns in my own life that I could not explain. Working with a therapist helped me see why I was unconsciously choosing some of these patterns. Clients who are on the brink of divorce have come to set their own patterns as a couple and have also brought their own individual past traumas and unconscious patterns and now merging them into this union. When the individual chooses not to pause and acknowledge that some of these patterns feel outside of their control, bringing a therapist in to help them work through these and find the source cause in order to help bring healing to the individual and to the couple is essential. Next week on Build Your Foundations, we will review the difference or the differences between trauma with a capital T and trauma with a lowercase t. We hope that you will join us and be part of the conversation. If you would like to speak to someone or get connected with a therapist who may be able to help you guide, who may be able to help guide you in open dialogue towards breaking patterns or acknowledging any trauma you may have faced, please reach out to us. We want to create a safe and inviting space for all who would like to take the brave steps towards healing. Also, if you are considering separation or divorce or have any questions on what we talked about today, please reach out to us and schedule a free consultation. We would love to connect with you. Our link and contact info are in the bio. Even if you're not in the state of Washington or in the Seattle area, please contact us. We work with colleagues across the US who may be able to help you. And also, please share this post or tag someone if this speaks to you personally or if it may benefit someone else. And of course, lastly, if there is a topic you would like to discuss on a future episode, please DM us. Thank you and see you next week on Build Your Foundations.